as you have national societies, so it's different everywhere. Yeah. Even in the Nordics, which we cooperate with a lot, we're all different.
It's all different, yeah.
Yeah, and how we're structured, if we have boards or...
Yeah, which I guess would be surprising to some people given the closeness
Exactly.
geographically.
But that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I was in Canada 3 months ago.
Oh, really? Where?
I went to Montreal.
Okay, nice.
Where did you go? What did you do?
For work.
Okay.
I work at the office of the president as a medical aid to the president.
To the Gambian president? Oh, wow. So you travel with him a lot?
All the time.
Huh?
One of my uncles lives in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
So I went to visit him
Is
for
it family? Oh, that's nice.
Is this your first time on the stock market?
Yes.
Looks like I'm the only one who does not have my cousins.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind taking pictures?
Oh. What do you want me to do?
Just take a picture.
Oh, yeah, sure. Do you want to see your question?
I have my questions.
Oh, you do?
I'm thinking what I'm going to answer.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm like also doing the same.
It's going to be fine. We can play on each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
That's why I was asking, because I want to feel like we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Are you guys staying for the whole time?
Yes.
The full 10 days?
Yes. Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah.
You too?
Yes, I'll be leaving on the time.
On the 30th? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm leaving on the 31st.
Okay, the last day.
Yeah. Evening.
I'm leaving I'm staying a couple days. My brother lives in Lucerne in Switzerland, so I'll go up and see him for a bit.
When you're first here.
What's that?
When you're here already.
Yeah, might as well, right? Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh, there's one.
This is a very nice book. Is it handmade?
It's made in Naga.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
Tout bon? Bon, c'est parti parce que OK. Okay, welcome to the 2024 IFRC Youth Forum, a platform where youth delegates engage, learn, and help shape the future of humanitarian action. In this session, we'll be discussing how to better engage youth in humanitarian efforts. I'm delighted to be joined by Ismaila Sonko, National Youth Chairperson at the Gambia Red Cross, Madeline Ellis, Youth Delegate and Capacity Building Officer for mental health and psychosocial support at the Canadian Red Cross, and Asdra Numanovic, youth president at the Norwegian Red Cross. Together, we'll be exploring emerging trends in youth volunteering and how young people approach social issues differently from older generations. So here are some key questions that we'll be addressing. Let's start with you first, Ismaila. What new trends or changes do you foresee in youth engagement with volunteering opportunities?
Thank you very much for the question, and I'm delighted to be here. As young volunteers, some of the new trends that is available for us is digital engagement. Of course, the use of platforms to be able to focus on social issues such as mental health and climate change as well. So if we are able to do a collaborative projects as well from one young person to another and align our skills and interests together, these are things that we could make best use of as young people in humanitarian service as well.
Mm-hmm. Could you give us an example maybe of something that's been put in place in your national society?
Like you rightly mentioned, I'm from Gambia, a small country, and one of the things that we've seen and make impact in our engagement strategy is to try to break down the cultural barriers, to be able to use young people, volunteer management. How do we manage and retain our volunteers? Because we're in a competitive world, so a lot of people, things are coming, trending things, so we have a strategy in place to ensure that people volunteer based on their specialty of work or your career. This has helped us in maintaining our volunteers as well and trying to break down some cultural backgrounds as barriers as to the engagement strategies we have as a national society.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that you try and place specific volunteers based on their qualifications. So how can we adapt to these trends to better attract and retain young volunteers?
One form of adoption is, like I say, collaborative projects. We need to collaborate because if your area of expertise is, for example, media, so you need to collaborate with some people whose expertise in communication. This helps us to achieve our goals easily because remember there is a slogan that says one man cannot do it alone. So having a lot of people doing different things and combine together to achieve something. And also in our community engagements, we try to listen to the community as much as possible because this is something that we do and we do with them. So if we don't listen to them and we try to be flexible and use adaptive methods to be able to adapt to whatever situations we find ourselves. Of course, we utilize technology in as much as we can and we evaluate the impact we are making in society as well, in short.
And I guess now youth is much more aligned with technology. Everyone has a phone, everyone has social media, which leads to my next question. Are there specific platforms or tools that you believe will play a larger role in shaping youth volunteering engagement?
Yes, there are. Like, for example, now in the Gambia Red Cross, we have what we call the National Youth Commission. We have social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and other social networks to ensure that volunteers, because everybody, like you mentioned, has a cell phone, and probably all the cell phones that we use have internet, and we should make best use of this in order to achieve our goals to emphasize on the awareness campaign. For example, we have issue like mental health is an issue of concern for a long period of time. Recently, the young people in our country take ownership of advocating for young people not to engage into substance abuse because there is this substance that has resulted in the mental health or death of young people in the country that has originated from a part of Africa to another, and this substance had been said to contain some human bones, and then it's mixed with some fentanyl, for example. So if they take it, usually it may result to death. And for our national society and the young people in the country are trying to advocate as much as possible through the use of technology to ensure that people understand that what they're doing is harmful to their health and their life as well.
Thank you very much, Ismaila. Now for Madeline. How do youth volunteers address social issues differently from other generations? And can you share a novel social issue you've observed in your country?
Sure, thank you for having me. So I think that the way that younger volunteers are addressing issues versus the older generation is, as we just talked about, technology is one of the obvious ones. So the access to information is readily available. Seeing what issues are happening around the world, this younger generation has access to that. So I believe that that supports younger people getting involved and making an impact when they have that access to information so available. And I think that something that's a bit different between the two generations as well is in addressing social issues is the younger generation really wants to make an impact quickly, right? So when they're involved in a social issue, they want to get involved, they want to see their actions have an impact, and I think that's a little bit different compared to the older generation that perhaps is involved in these issues longer term. But these younger generations are hoping to see the outcomes more quickly, and so shorter term impact for that. And then the second part of your question was a novel issue or a novel concern in Canada. And I think this isn't necessarily novel to Canada, but increased mental health concerns, especially following the pandemic. But I think what's novel is in Canada we've really come together and developed amazing resources for youth particularly. We have what's called Kids Help Phone that was developed relatively recently for younger individuals to call in, whether they're experiencing a crisis or just need someone to talk to. So there's been multiple resources that have come out of that, and including other hotlines, suicide crisis hotline, for example, nationally. So we still have a ways to go, but I think there's a lot to learn here from the way we've approached that.
Very interesting. I guess this leads to my next question. How do you think the perspective of younger volunteers influence the long-term impacts of their efforts compared to previous generations?
So I think similar to what I was saying before in terms of the access to information and social media and technology, the younger generation, when they're seeing, these disasters, these conflicts across the globe, this is their future and it impacts them. So, perhaps the older generation were also, invested in their futures, but at this moment we have, the level of disasters and crisis across the globe it just keeps rising, and so especially related to the climate, it's getting more serious and serious, and this is, again, like I said, the future of younger volunteers and young actors. So when it comes to their future, they care and they want to live in this world where there's less disasters and we're taking better care of our planet.
Would you say that that's a reason why you became a volunteer?
Absolutely. And, just being able to make that direct impact with communities. I'm involved in emergency management responses, so deploying in and being able to support community directly is an incredible feeling, and like I said before, I think the younger generation appreciates that immediate impact of their efforts.
And are there any challenges you face when addressing social issues, and how did you overcome them?
Absolutely. There's always challenges. For example, when deploying to certain operations in Canada, we support a number of Indigenous communities, and certain communities are quite remote locations across Canada. So there can be barriers in terms of access to resources, access to programs to support these individuals, and just ensuring that we're approaching this in a culturally appropriate way. And the way that we can overcome that is by really listening to community and ensuring that we have representation on our team of those people we're supporting. So in Canadian Red Cross, we have team members who are Indigenous themselves, and we always, refer to them when we are supporting Indigenous communities. And so having that reflection of the community in our team is crucial.
Thank you, Madeline. Azra, how can we ensure we stay a relevant and impactful presence in local communities?
That is a good question. Well, I think you already said a lot of things. Technology being one big thing, I think we have to work with in this organization to get better at. We have to develop and we have to incorporate the new technology in how we can utilize it for our purposes and our goals. Because I feel like we're often lagging in those sorts of things, and that's maybe also kind of what drives youth away from us sometimes, that it's very tough and there's very old systems, or we haven't utilized everything we can. I also think on the other side of the spectrum, I think that our organization also needs to talk more about peace. What is our goal, or how? I mean, we are an organization that stands for humanitarian needs. We work with humanitarian needs in our local societies, but at the same time, what we really want, we want to achieve peace. We want to achieve a goal where these humanitarian needs do not exist. Essentially, we don't want to exist either, right? And we also have to talk about our role in that work. So what does peace mean to us, and how do we work with that through our activities, through our actions, through our diplomacy work? Because I think that is very important, at least for young generations, to hear and to feel that the Red Cross and the Red Crescent does work with that as well, even if it's in local communities in Canada, Gambia, or Norway. I think we can all agree on that.
So to stay more relevant, you would say also addressing more issues and being more vocal about them. Do you feel that maybe we don't communicate enough about these issues?
I wouldn't necessarily say that we don't communicate enough. I think we do communicate a lot, and we are pretty clear on where we stand on. But I do think our scope of communication maybe is a bit narrow, and at least what I miss sometimes is the common communication. You know, you can see so many different national societies, so many different subparts of those national societies communicating about needs and differences and problems and what they're doing and their actions. But I think also a more clear and bigger view and communication of what we're doing will also reach a lot of young people, because if you want to stay relevant, you would also have to kind of give people a platform or showcase what platform is this really, you know? Because when I first started volunteering, I had no clue that I was a part of the Red Cross and Red Crescent, IFRC, and I volunteered for the same reason as you. I wanted to make an impact short-term on my local community. I wanted to do something right away. But then as time moves on, to motivate young people to stay after that kind of rush of, okay, I did this, you know, I volunteered for 2 weeks or a year or 2 years. How are we going to motivate them? Okay, well, showcase them that there is a bigger platform where we'll all work on the same issues. We want the same goals, and those goals are towards a world where there is peace, where climate action is taken seriously, where we can prevent wars, where international humanitarian law is followed. That's kind of the bigger picture.
That's very interesting. I guess we could go on for quite a long time about this topic.
For sure.
So, you know, we mentioned community. How can we incorporate community feedback into programs to ensure that it reflects local needs? Do you have an idea of how we could do this?
Well, it's a difficult question, because I think that how we're organized is very different from country to country, but what is important first and foremost is to acknowledge that the competence and the information and the knowledge that local communities do have is valuable in our programs. It's easy to think that when you're sitting at higher positions or in different parts that, okay, well, we have done a lot of research, or we've experienced this, or we've implemented strategies before. Okay, we know what we're doing. Well, maybe you don't, because how quickly things change in local communities is something that only they can speak on and that they can bring forward constantly. So acknowledging that is very important, because if you don't acknowledge that their voices are important or what they have to say is new information to you, then even though you include them, you won't listen. It's called kind of false participation, right? And then participation, as you mentioned, including them in the process and early in the process, I think is important, because we, at least from my own experience as well with youth, we do have sometimes we include them in later in the process, right at the end. Oh, do you have any comments on this strategy or this program or this thing, you know? And then it's too late. You can't really make an impactful addition to it, or you can't really do anything about it. So including people early in processes is key. Having them come with you on the drafting part. Okay, wait, what is the landscape? Help them orient, help you orient, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to do things? That's some parts of it, but I guess this is also a big topic and issue, so I could go on.
No, that's fine, that's fine. It leads to my final question. Are there any specific trends among young people that we should tap into to remain impactful and relevant in local communities?
Well, trends. I don't know if there is any specific trends that I see. I mean, social media, huge trend. I guess everyone knows about it and also is aware of it. I think we should tap more into it and utilize it more. And I think we should also ask young people what is it that makes you watch other people on social media? Like, why do you listen to these organizations or people or whatever? Because we often say, oh, this is a trend, we have to do something about it, but then we forget to ask or see, okay, but what is very specific about it? Because on social media, again, you have a million different trends, right, on how things are. I also think that we should maybe adopt, this is not a trend, but I would say in general, young people compared to the older generation are more direct. And this is not specific for our younger generation like this now. This is specific for every single young generation that has been, right? Because you're younger, your views, as you said, are not impacted by everything you've been through, like everything you've seen. And sometimes that is a very good thing. So I think tapping more into your youth and then bringing the youth in and being open to what they have to say. Yeah, I didn't really answer your question there on the last part, but I think that is very important to also be not just include, but to actually listen.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Youth Forum. Why are you here? What did you discover today? Ismaila, could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I think this platform is a very useful platform to any one of us. This is a platform where we get to know about the IFRC and its documents relating to the movement. So we should all ensure to participate, that is meaningful participation. Because in this platform in 2024, we are going to send in the Youth Engagement Strategy 202 that talks about how we as a movement, because we are born out of a desire to bring assistance. Of course, our human resource is very important. How do we ensure that we retain our volunteers to be able to make a lot of impact in the communities that we lead? So this is a platform for us to be able to participate fully in the decision, because there's a slogan in my country, people say, anything for the youths without the youths is not for the youths. So this is why our presence here is very important, and we should all endeavor to participate as much as we can to ensure that the future is properly set, because there is no fixed future that is put for people. Future is created today, so you enter into it. So we should all ensure that the future we are entering into, we all participate in ensuring that we have combat climate change, we have tried to cope the issues of mental health related issues that are associated to young people. I think in short, and also it should be as a platform for us to network as much as possible, because we are talking about social media impactful. It's about what interests you have and your area of interest. Of course, social media is a platform that everybody uses, but people look, like you see mentioned, people go to things that align with their interest or work or area. So we should be able to network as much as possible so that we ensure that we collaborate as national societies. Thank you.
Thank you. Madeline, can you tell us a bit more about, is there anything else that you'll be attending this afternoon?
Yes, so we are going back into the Youth Forum and hearing the candidates who are applying for the Youth Commission, and so that's very important to hear, what their plans are, and it's incredible that we have the ability to vote and be a part of these decision-making processes. So very excited about hearing more about the candidates to inform our decisions, and then I believe there'll be some workshops and everything that you've mentioned as well relating to the youth engagement strategy. So lots of exciting things, and we're just starting.
And I guess the youth leader will be elected tomorrow.
Yes, that's correct. So during the General Assembly, we will have the elections for membership and for chair.
Thank you. Azra, closing remark?
Well, closing remark. That's closing remark is that we are thrilled. We do have a youth forum. I think that is very important, and an encouragement is keep it going and keep us included in all parts of both the statutory meetings and also the conference. I'm very delighted to see that a lot of young representatives are attending the international conference, because that is meaningful inclusiveness and participation, in my opinion. And young people they have a uniqueness with them that you cannot get anywhere else, and for that matter alone, we do have a strong voice.
Thank you, Azra. Thank you, Ismail. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, Azra, for sharing these valuable insights on engaging with humanitarian action, engaging youth, It's inspiring to hear how young people are driving change, addressing social issues in innovative ways, and helping communities stay resilient and connected. A big thank you to the audience for joining us today. We'll be live throughout the week, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you very much.